When does life begin? Who determines who will live and who will die? Should we trust a man to decide? Have we learned nothing from our past? When the Dred Scott case was passed? Are we saying that an unborn baby is not a human being? Denying that it is even a living thing? Or rather an inconvenience that disrupts our well-being? Well, this is one subject I will be disagreeing. I don't see this or any other matter as the lesser of two evils or as partial good. I see it for exactly what it is, wrong, and see that its victims are misunderstood. I see that our nation is becoming less and less spiritual every day. I see that our nation is not what it used to be yesterday. I see that our government does not portray the people. I fear that the morals of Americans have gone astray. And all I'm expected to do is sit back and pray? No, I will protest because it still is the USA. And as long as there are still patriots that form tea parties and revolt, I will be a part of the cause and make my voice a bold. Because the government cannot legislate morality, and they cannot force upon us their political mentality. It's up to us, the people, to take back our liberality.
Indoctrination camps. They need education, not indoctrination. My next guest, I'm very proud to call a friend. I met a lot of you. From the very beginning, she found my flyer, went out to a printer, made a couple of hundred up, went door to door in her neighborhood distributing them. From that day on, she's been with us. When we've been heckled, when we've been booed, when we've been called names, she's been a pillar of strength for me both personally and for the Tea Party movement. My friend Lucie Weir is here as a mom. She's a resident of Chicago's Southwest Side and is a mother who has deep concerns about the debt that we're leaving our children and her future grandchildren. Lucie is here to talk about her concerns, her hopes for her family future. Lucie is here as a mom.
I'd like to talk to you today about labels and how we all identify each other. And you may wonder what this has to do with taxes. Well, a year and a half ago, I would have wondered the same thing. I can tell you who I was a year and a half ago, but better yet, let's talk about who we were a year and a half ago. How many of you were labeled a respectful citizen a year and a half ago? How about small business owner? How about taxpayer? Employee? Homeowner? How about Republican? Democrat? Independent? And you know what? I bet you're all still those things, because I am. But now we all want one more thing. How many of you now consider yourself passionate advocates? Or even soldiers fighting on for our God-given freedoms? Why are you here today? Look at the person next to you. Why are they here? The easy answer is we're teed off. T spelled T-E-A for the Tea Party. Taxed enough already, because that's what it stands for. I'm teed off too. But why am I really here speaking in Daly Plaza? What gives me the credentials to be up here talking to you? Who I am and why I'm here? I am a mom. I was once asked what my crowning achievement was, and I'm sure the interviewer thought it was going to be about a novel or short story that I had written. But no, my greatest achievement was, is, and always will be my 2 daughters. Nothing comes close to being a mom. Nothing. I'd like to share a true story with you. When my oldest daughter was about 2 years old, our favorite pastime was walking to a nearby park. Well, one day on the way to that park, I looked up and coming straight for us at top speed was this huge old English sheepdog. It was so close I could see the wild look in its eyes. I didn't know what it was running from, if it was scared, hurt, or vicious. All I knew was it was coming straight at me and my daughter. There was nowhere to hide and no time to think. Instinct kicked in and I did what any mom would do. I wrapped my arms and body around my small daughter, I closed my eyes and braced for impact. If that dog struck, it would have to get through me before it got to her. That's what moms do. We protect our young from attack. As it was, the dog just ran past us, and all I could do was thank God that my baby was okay. That is why I'm here today. A big dog is running straight for my children and your children. And that big, menacing dog is big government. That's right. I raised my girls to endorse the same values that I did. Those values of strong family, of being a respectful citizen and all the things we talked about earlier. But as I watch unprincipled and arrogant representatives in Washington, I'm afraid I may have done them a great disservice. Both my girls work while attending private university as full-time students. There's no free ride at my house. Hard work equals achievement. And I assured my girls that if they followed this rule, the sky's the limit, their future is bright. And yes, you can do anything. That's what my parents taught me, and that's what their parents taught them. But today it seems like I was wrong. Hardworking Americans are being penalized and demonized. We hardworking people are being fundamentally transformed, relabeled, if you will. Now we are identified as angry mob, extremists, domestic terrorists, for doing what our forefathers would applaud us for doing. We are being marginalized for celebrating the principles on which this great country was built. Personal freedom, self-reliance, accountability, and dreaming great dreams. At a recent town hall meeting, I looked into my congressman's face and I asked him, how do I tell my children that their future will be a slave to crushing government debt? How do I tell them that the American dream is on life support and dying? Why are the progressives in Congress condemning my children, their children, everyone's children to a life of taxation and debt, a life of economic slavery? That congressman could not look me in the eye, but who looks to Congress for insight? As a mom, I look to our rich U.S. history for inspiration. I look to Abigail Adams, First Lady and wife of our second president, John Adams, and mother of our sixth president, John Quincy Adams. Abigail Adams, mom, was appointed by the Massachusetts Colony General in 1775 to question her fellow women who worked against the independent movement. What would drive a young mother with no rights to speak out against her oppressive government? I'll tell you what, freedom for her and her children. During her husband's many absences from home, working with the Continental Congress and as a diplomat in Europe, Abigail not only educated and looked after their children, but managed the farm and family finances, a very unique position for a woman at that time. But she was ahead of her time. She was a working mother and quite possibly the first advocate for women's rights, all while a war raged in her backyard. Abigail Adams was called the same names as us. She was also first and foremost a mom. Abigail saw that menacing dog that is now crashing toward us and our children. She didn't run or hide. She wrapped herself around her children and she confronted it head on. Abigail Adams was a true courageous American mom who wasn't afraid to speak out to secure freedom for her children at the risk of her own life. That's what real courage looks like. Not the trumped-up courage Nancy Pelosi spoke of while defying the will of the people. That's not courage, Madam Speaker. That is arrogance and tyranny. Abigail Adams, a mom, a patriot, stood for freedom from tyranny, freedom to be heard, freedom from taxation without representation. She was one of us. I ask you now, Will you stand as she did? Will you stand as I will for your children and mine? Thank you.
Come this summer, the U.S. Supreme Court will be rendering a verdict for our city. We have the highest homicide rate. Shootings on the west side, shootings on the south side. The members of our Chicago Police Department have frontal attacks by gangbangers. The